Hello, Texas, and welcome to the Hello Texas podcast. This week, Tim and Steve welcome three-time Texas Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year, Holly Tucker. They talk to Holly about being a female in country music, her time on The Voice, and her rising career. As a special treat, Holly performs some hits off her current album. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the conversation.
All right. Hello, Texas.
I never know which one. No, we'll just go with that one.
I'm Steve. This is Tim.
I'm not sure which one. I'm not Holly Tucker. How's that?
We have a very special guest that Tim just spilled the beans on.
Well, they can see her.
We have Holly Tucker here with us.
Pick a camera.
Thank you so much for showing up tonight.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
But wait a minute. You said thank you for showing up. Was you expecting?
I invited you, and you said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Ditched on us. Oh, Michael Mode.
What?
1, 2, 3, 8.
Oh, come on now.
He did. He just
Michael.
Ditched.
Gosh.
Check my research. The 3-time in a row Texas Country Music Association Female Vocalist of the Year.
Yes,
Is that right?
That's right.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
He's got notes.
Yeah, I did. I've done my research.
Prepared. I love
He
it.
did.
You were on season 4 of The Voice.
Yes.
Came in the top 8. Is
Top
that right?
6.
Top 6. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. See, I already
Come
screwed up.
on, man.
It's okay. It's okay.
Female Vocalist of the Year from the ETX Music Office. Song and Music Video of the Year for Year in Texas, which is one of my favorites. Album of the Year for Steel with the ETX Music Office, and Rising Star by the CMAs of Texas, which is really cool. Although by the time you got Rising Star, you were already a star.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I'm just a regular Holly, I don't know.
so
Yeah, I like that too, because you are a big star, but you're just normal, regular Holly, I guess, if you want to say it that way. You're just a normal person. Melissa and I was talking about this over the weekend. We had seen you Friday night. You was asking me about Diamond Rio earlier,
Right.
and I couldn't talk about it, but the real show happened before Diamond Rio.
I know. I saw the picture.
Well, you have it. I got video.
Do you?
Yeah, I do have
Oh,
video.
yay.
So
But because I know the other side of the story,
Yeah.
I probably won't.
We can talk about it. It's okay.
Okay. I've never seen Curtis Grimes live before, I don't think. So this was kind of a first. I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
another alum of The Voice.
It was like 2011 or something like. It's
Right.
been a few years.
He was earlier than your season, right?
He was like season 1.
That's right.
I was
That's
season
right.
4. Yeah.
I only know that because I dug down into like the discography thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so did not realize just a really Christian background and then pulls it into a show. And so you were there and I thought, well, that's interesting. Holly's here.
Yeah.
And Curtis Grimes. See what happens. And y'all played Reckless Love.
Yeah.
Which Corey Asbury? Did I get
Good
that
job.
right?
Yep, that's perfect.
Wow.
The crowd, it was a sold out crowd, and they were pretty much there for both shows. And you've heard me talk about it, church people, hands in the air, waving like they just don't care. That's because Jesus and.
Because Jesus.
Yeah, and to see and the backyard's kind of in my place, and I've seen some shows there.
Yeah.
And so for there to be Christian music playing in my backyard just blew me away. Now, I was caught up in it. And I found out later, Melissa is telling me that you and her had talked.
Yeah.
That maybe it didn't go quite as great as you'd maybe missed some words or somebody missed some words.
It was me. Not
And then
Curtis.
I heard somebody say something. It may have been Curtis say something. You play something in your. See, this is why you fed me pizza.
Yeah, we had pizza before, so you're gonna hear.
I didn't have pizza, Kenneth. If he's watching this, I did not
No,
have
she
pizza.
didn't. She didn't have pizza at all. Who? Kenneth. Not that I seen. Was.
But we made her do push-ups.
Yeah.
There you go.
There was.
We squat. squatted after. Yeah.
So I got the impression that neither one of you were really excited about how it went. I was watching the crowd the whole time.
Yeah.
If anybody missed anything, nobody noticed.
Well, thank you.
It was it was just one of those moments where, at least for me, and I noticed for a lot of people in the crowd, just really taken back, and because it was just really good.
Well, it leads me into a few questions.
Okay.
Do you know Curtis because of your bond with the voice, or?
No, actually, Curtis and I will always have a very special relationship in my heart because he was the first one to give me a chance to play in Green Hall, which is one of my biggest bucket list places.
Wow.
He had a headlining show there, and he needed an opener. So through a series of circumstances, he found his way to me, and I opened the show for him at Green Hall, and that was my debut there, and with my band and everything. And so I'll always be super grateful to Curtis for that. And since then, we've gone to several like writers retreats and been in the same place at the same time. So it's really cool to get to see him, and that was sweet of him to ask me to come up on stage. And it's funny, he originally asked me to do that song with him at the Backyard like less than 24 hours before we did it. And I know Reckless Love is a huge worship song, but I didn't have it memorized, and we haven't done it a lot in my church.
Yeah.
I love the song, but I didn't have it memorized. And so I told Curtis, I was just like, well, do you just want some harmonies on it? And he was like, well, yeah, you just do whatever you want to do. And then when I get there, he's like, yeah, do you know the verses? And I was like, kinda. And I was like, okay. And so when we got up on stage, he wanted me to do some of the lead, and I wasn't well enough prepared. So next time, Curtis, I'll have that one ready, or anything else that you want me to have ready. But I think, at the end of the day, it's all about worshiping Jesus and making a joyful noise, and you got to give yourself some grace. I'm human. I'm
absolutely.
not perfect.
Yeah. And nobody's out there going, oh, she missed a word. Let's go.
I had no idea.
Time to leave.
It's just because it's Reckless Love. That's a huge worship song. So.
Well, and I think everybody was, at least I was kind of floored. Here just didn't see it coming. Wasn't expecting it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I was extremely grateful for it. And thank y'all for that. Thank you, and thank Curtis for that. I thought it was really, really good.
Well, and then speaking of the religious song, you just released a song a few days ago. Mm-hmm. You Say, the Lauren Daigle cover.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Thank you.
Great.
Recorded at Woodway Baptist.
I did. Yeah, it's my home church.
And why that song?
So, I'm in the process right now of releasing a series of covers. I've done this in the past.
Right. 18, you did like the back porch sessions?
Yeah. I did that. And then I also just put out some of my own covers on Spotify and YouTube and stuff. And so I've done that before, and it's been really good for my Apple Music and Spotify presence and just keeping my voice out there. And so I wanted to do that again. I wanted to do a series of covers, and I wanted to choose a variety. So we went in there and we recorded 6 songs, 6 covers. And I wanted to show all different sides of me. I wanted to show my faith side. I wanted to show my traditional country side. I wanted to show my Whitney Houston pop side, And so, I got to do several different songs that just kind of showed a little bit more variety maybe than people are used to seeing from me. And You Say is one of my all-time favorite worship songs that I've ever heard. So I connected with it, and I knew that if I connected with it, I'd be able to get that to other people and get that point across.
And I could tell you connected with it. And I have to be honest with you, there's a few bucket list things in country. Seeing Corey Morrow do the Howl at the Moon, seeing Charlie Robinson sing My Hometown. And one of those is seeing you sing How Great Thou Art. For me, that's the goosebump moment that why I will travel to see you play.
Thank you.
For you to sing that song, the reason I ask why that song is because that's one of those goosebump songs that I'm sure when she sings it, that's what the people go there to sing. So to hear you do her take on it was really inspiring. Is that the right word? As just
Thank you.
I think it stirs emotions, because that's already a song that has a lot of meaning to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I came to this whole thing and found church and God and stuff like that, music being a big part of things, you know, I started cramming these worship songs into a playlist. It's called Freedom.
Yes.
And, you know, freedom is a really big part of it. And that was one of the first ones I put in there. And it just, because it touched on so many things, you know, just, yeah, it nailed it. And then Lauren Daigle's already got this really cool voice. It's really soulful. Almost, is raspy the right word? It really sound. So that's one of those people you don't expect to hear somebody do a cover, and you killed that.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's so good.
Here's where I'm leading. I have all this. We're going to talk about this and this and this, and I'm going to skip right to one of the hard questions. Not a hard question, but
okay, here we go.
I'm
ready.
Your lane is country music, red dirt, Texas country music. Why not contemporary Christian?
I've been asked that question quite often, actually, because of the How Great Thou Art moment and the fact that I end every show with that moment. But I've thought about that, and the only explanation that I have is that I've always felt a really strong calling on my life to reach the unreached. And a lot of times if you yes, and a lot of times if you go ahead and go into straight Christian or straight gospel, you alienate, you know, more than half your audience. They just won't listen to you because they know you're Christian.
Yep.
And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to show Jesus to people that maybe either don't know him or have been hurt by the church or whatever, for whatever reason that they aren't, you know, in relationship with God anymore. And I just want to be a little bit of that light. And I love country music so much because you can mix the faith and talk about real life stuff and really touch people and show just a little bit of Jesus so that maybe they'll want to know more and discover more on their own outside of just the music. And that's just a real passion of mine.
Great answer. I thought I was going to like stump you a little bit, but boy, that's exactly why I think you're in the right lane that you've always been in.
The same reason Michael Otis Parrish is just an amazing guitar player is the same reason you ain't gonna stump her.
Right. No, and I knew that.
Holy Ghost, she got it, man.
You bucked the theory that my wife and I had years ago on American Idol early. Mandisa. I know you probably know Mandisa.
Love her.
She was in the R&B lane on American Idol. One day on American Idol, she sang a religious song, and that week she was voted off. And we came up with the voters thought that she was R&B. She sang religious. That's why they didn't vote. And so we always had the theory that you got to stay in your lane. You sang How Great Thou Art on The Voice. And we had the conversation the night you sang, because we were watching. You were we didn't know you then. You were Waco, so we were cheering you on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's so risky, but oh, it's so good. And that vaulted you into one of the favorites.
Yeah.
So that was when we decided, oh, you can do both. You just have to be really, really good at it. Not that Mandisa wasn't. She was great at it.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a shock. But yours transcended music, I mean the genres, and just was a great version of the song, and it still is. Every time I see you sing it live, it's amazing.
And it's kind of funny you say that, because that kind of makes sense, because it seems like people, when it comes to religious stuff, people expect, you know, you find God, they expect you instantly become perfect. Or, you know, if you're going to be on a big stage and you sing a Christian song, you better bring it. Sometimes Christian people are probably the hardest people out there. So that kind of goes back to you saying, you know, well, not necessarily wanting to go that way, because the unchurched, it's kind of the same thing. You know, Jesus' whole mission wasn't interested in the Pharisees or the religious people. He was interested in the people that wasn't, and they're not always quite as mean either.
You've stuck to your roots from age 7 to today.
Yeah.
Have you got pressure from record executives and the people that try to advise you to get in a different lane, a different image, I guess?
Not necessarily a different image, but I have had that question come up, like, why don't you consider going contemporary Christian or gospel?
Mm-hmm.
And but they always understand my answer, and everybody usually gets, that's something that is passion on my heart. And I have been pressured to move to Nashville, and I have been pressured to maybe even go the pop direction. And I'm in Texas because I feel like I can still be country here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's possible in Nashville because I'm not seeing very many girls doing that. I mean, you've got Ashley McBride and you've got Casey Musgraves, sort of, but everybody else is going pop country. And I'm not knocking pop country. I love listening to it.
Yeah.
But it's just not who I want to be. I want to be my own brand of country. And if that means that I never get to a bigger level, then that's fine. I'm going to stay true to who I am.
So the way this usually works, I usually end up becoming a bigger fan than what I started with.
Oh, thank you.
You mentioned to it, if you moved to Nashville, it would be hard any genre to break in because of, we had this conversation before you got here about women in country music.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult has it been to, I'm going to word this correctly because
I don't think there's.
No,
I don't think there's a good way to word it. You know what? Because I kind of got it a two-parter. You just said it. Already being a female artist, man, the cards are stacked against you.
Oh yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. Women in music, man, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think the answer is always what anybody wants to hear, and that kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Facts are the facts.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. You said it already, kind of being tough to break into Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take Nashville off the table. What about Texas? Y'all gonna get mad about this. I can hear it now. Texas is already a smaller genre than the Nashville scene. Nobody wants to hear that. It's a big old world out there, y'all.
Yeah.
But we're a small portion of that.
Mm-hmm.
How much... I don't want to say how much more difficult because that leads to the question, but how difficult? Can you talk about that just a little bit? How difficult is that to be a female artist in the Texas country music scene genre, to book you, for lack of better words?
I can absolutely speak to that. I'm very, very passionate about this issue because I don't think that enough people talk about it. I think that they just kind of try to say, oh, it's okay. You just gotta put out the best songs that are possible. And no matter if you're a girl or guy, it's all about talent. And that is such a load of crock. And it's not all about talent. It should be, but it's not. And the thing is, it's just as difficult here in Texas, just in a different way, like to be a female in country music. And I think that, when you look at it, when you look at all the different aspects of music and where artists can make their money and where they can really see a return on all their investment in time and finances, it all comes down to the fact that the Texas country market is a hard ticket sales market. And what are the majority of venues here in Texas? They're dance halls and they're bars and they're festivals and their stuff like that.
And it sells tickets.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is selling tickets.
Hard ticket sales. If you don't have good hard ticket sales, you're not going to be successful because it's just, that's how it is. That's what gets you up in level in the Texas country scene.
Come on, Holly. It's got to be your Spotify spins has got to count for something, right?
It does.
You got 144,000, 122,000 followers on Facebook.
Wait, let me interrupt.
Hello,
Texas. I'm gonna throw this in there. I told Holly this earlier. We started January 1st doing the featured artist of the day. We get anywhere from 200 is an average good post to a great post would be like 2,000-3,000 views on it. 17,000 views of Holly Tucker's featured artist of the day across all the platforms. your fans come out.
So
You
with
have
that, tell me
loyal
why
fans.
it is.
They're great.
Why you tell me then? Why is it harder for female artists to break through?
One.
I mean, we see it 2,000 to 17,000. There shouldn't be an issue there.
Well, one thing that I can add to this is I almost feel horrible going up to you a couple years ago and saying, "You look great. You do look great." But I wouldn't go up to Cody Cannon and go, "You look great." It doesn't matter. I mean, it's an extra layer of something that you have to worry about that I don't think the guys actually have to worry about.
No, not a lot.
Who did I just see post something? Oh, I'll tell you who it was. Was it, you know who Calamity Janes are?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Was it? It was either Arlen or Courtney, but I'm guessing several years ago, booking some gig somewhere, and owner of a venue says, "Come on, sit on my lap right here, little girl, and sing me a song till something pops up good."
Oh my god!
You know, or just some kind of, just some kind of crass stuff, and just the idea that
makes me mad.
well,
Yeah, me too.
Well, sure it does, and just I can very much see guys being full of testosterone, being a little grabby, little handsy, and talking about just the come-ons that they're getting.
Yeah.
And she followed it up, not to take any away from the guys, for you sensitive individuals out there. Women's just crawling all over me. Well, that's anyway. But I don't think whenever you say, Holly, you look good, I don't think you mean it in a, "Hey, girl."
No, yeah.
No, I mean, you can.
Please look at me like that some more, please. No.
No, you know what I mean.
That was great.
I wouldn't choose that as something to say to Wade Bowen. If Wade was buff, I wouldn't go up and say, "You look great. You've put in the work, Wade. Way to go." But
Sound you so fine.
You might say that though. You might say you look like you've been working out. You look really good, man.
yeah,
That's not offensive.
usually it's you lost some weight there,
But
Tim. But
we'll tell Bo and some of those guys, whenever their presence, they're rock and roll or whatever, they fit the part. What do you say to a female artist?
I don't see anything wrong with what he said. You look great. I don't personally. I'm real sensitive about that issue. So of, image and weight and all that stuff, just because I've dealt with that my entire life, literally. And I'm in a place right now where I know that I'm healthy and I'm getting strong and I'm, trying to be the best version of myself. So I hate it when people come up to me and say things in a way that emphasize
how good you look.
Yeah, well, more like you look like you've lost a lot of weight. Like, that's a backhanded compliment.
Right.
Why don't you just say something like, "You look really good," or "You look really strong," or "You look like you're so beautiful"? I mean, just something like that. You don't have to say you look like you lost weight.
it's a double standard or an extra
And
standard,
I
not
think
even a
that's
double
just it.
standard.
I think
It's
it
an
is.
extra
It's an extra
standard
standard
that you have to worry
because
about.
a guy, here it is. I think a guy can set his presence. He can be whoever he is, however he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you're going to catch flack. Either your shorts are too short, or either your pants was too tight, or something is always going to be something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is? I mean, are we still stuck on this gender thing that, you just want to be just there in the house, just getting my supper done. If you got time to sing me a song, little lady, well, I reckon you climb up on that stage.
It's changing mentalities, but
Maybe is that it? Is that part of it? Is it just the people in charge of the things?
I have a theory, and I think it's probably the closest to what the actual reason is, but I still don't know how to change it. Texas country, like I said, is the majority of the venues are dance halls and bars and everything like that, restaurants, stuff like that. But the audience, if you look at the audience, the majority is female.
yeah.
And they bring their boyfriends or they bring out all the other single guys. But single guys by themselves are not going to see a female artist. They're going to go where the girls are, and the girls are going to see the hot guys perform. And that's the thing is girls nowadays, for whatever
Talk
reason,
about Parker McCollum.
I don't.
He is pretty.
He's yeah.
He is pretty. Yeah, I mean, y'all say that
He's
y'all
a
want.
pretty good looking dude there.
Parker, you know you're pretty, brother. It's just call it what it is. It's okay.
I said that because I know Parker knows he's pretty, so I'm sorry.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, he's great. But anyway, the problem also is that our generation now is so insecure about social media and about seeing that other girls have things that you don't have, and like coveting what you don't have in life. And so for a girl, like, it doesn't make sense for me because I had a lot of 90s country female influences growing up, and I loved listening to females. I loved that more than the guys even. And nowadays, girls don't want to go see other girls because they're either threatened by them or they don't want their boyfriend looking at another pretty girl on stage. I mean, so, okay, if that's the problem, then how do we fix it? Because a girl has to be both sexy and non-threatening.
Ugly yourself up a little bit.
But, okay, then you're not sexy, and then you don't sell anything. So, I mean, either way, like, you lose. It's dang near impossible.
Well, I don't think you're losing, so I'll just.
We've beaten this into the ground. You're good enough to fill stadiums, and
I agree with that.
Anybody that doesn't believe that is wrong.
And there are some really good fans out there. I'm not trying to blanket statement anything.
Sure, and I want to make sure we're clear. I don't want it to sound like that either. But I do know. I guess I do know it's very near and dear to your heart. Yeah. I know it's something that just confuses me, and you just shed some light on it. Just a light bulb just went.
Well, the perception is, I know there's radio stations that won't play females back to back, and I know that there are venues that won't book a female opener for a female headliner for some weird reason. I've heard that before.
It just seems insane to me.
But they'll have freaking Randall King and let me just think of like Mark Chestnut open for Cody Johnson. They all sing the basically same type of music, same type of country. They're all clean cut cowboys, great voices,
amazing music,
all three of them, not taking anything away from any three of them, but then they won't have two females on the same lineup.
Right.
Or I don't understand it.
In festivals, whenever they have the one token female on the lineup and they put her at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Speaking
seen that too.
I just seen the a lineup and I seen a female artist that I'm familiar with that I know, and you know what? I'm sure there's other ones on it. I don't remember seeing any other ones.
Well, let's look. Holly's been sitting here for 30 minutes with a guitar in her lap, and we haven't asked her to sing yet. So make it my fault. All right,
it's all right.
Okay, before you sing, your album out right now is You're Gonna Know My Name.
Yes.
Came out last year. Great album. You wrote or co-wrote all the songs on that. Is it your first time to do that?
All of the songs, yes.
Yes. Do you have a favorite? You don't have to sing it if you don't want to, but do you have a favorite song that?
That's so hard because like all my songs feel like mini children to me, like my babies.
Sure. And
they're all so different. And probably one of them that I was going to play for y'all today, Country Music Won't Let Me, is probably my favorite.
So would you do us the pleasure?
Okay.
We're just,
ladies and gentlemen, Holly Tucker.
All right. Every time I leave you in the past, just when my mind quits looking back, I hear a hurting song that takes me back where we went wrong. It's like every word and melody was written just for you and me. I'd give anything if I could just move on, but country music won't let me. It's way too real. It hits me heavy right when I'm letting go. It keeps me holding on. That lonely crying steel guitar re-breaks the broken in my heart. Thought I'd be over you already, but country music won't let me. It follows me everywhere I go, in the bar, in the car, on the radio. Even when I turn it off, I still sing along. And when the needle falls on Patsy Cline, I fall to pieces every time. I'd give anything if I could just stay strong. But country music won't let me. It's way too real. It hits me heavy right when I'm letting go. It keeps me holding on. That lonely crying steel guitar re-breaks the broken in my heart. Thought I'd be over you already, but country music won't let me. You're nothing but a memory, but I wish it could forget me. 'Cause country music won't let me. It's way too real. It hits me heavy right when I'm letting go. It keeps me holding on. That lonely crying steel guitar re-breaks the broken in my heart. Thought I'd be over you already, but country music won't let me. No, it won't let me.
Oh. Look, while you were playing, we both had that moment that we.
So I wrote Steve a note. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
I said, Holly Tucker is at your house singing to us.
Right. And honestly, listen, as I'm a photographer because I'm a fan first.
Yeah.
I get to meet people like you. That's why I'm a photographer.
Oh.
So to have you sit here and sing that song like that right here with all of this equipment, and that was my Green Hall bucket list moment right there. I don't know that we'll top that for a long time.
I don't know. I just
That's so sweet.
no big deal. Holly Tucker.
Yeah.
No, she's
All
not.
right.
She's not at your house.
All right.
singing to you.
You wrote. I know a little bit about that song. You wrote that with a couple other guys.
I did.
Explain the songwriting process and how that song came about.
Yeah, so it was actually written with a good friend of mine, Buddy Owens, and Logan Tucker.
Not related.
Not related. Just both country music artists, but he's in Nashville and I'm here, and they're good friends of mine. So we got together one day and we all wanted to write, and we didn't really know what we wanted to write about. We were kind of throwing around different ideas, but not settling on anything. And so we just started talking, because usually talking will lead us to some sort of song. And so that's what we started doing. We started talking about our favorite country music artists and traditional country, and how we grew up on country and what country music meant to each one of us. And especially when it comes to heartbreak and loss and grief and like the sad things in life, country music can just really make you feel something like no other genre can. And in a way that when you're maybe driving, you're driving in your car, and you've just gone through some really heartbreaking situation, whether it's a breakup or a loss of some kind, and you turn on your radio and that one song comes on, and it just takes you right back to that moment where your heart was broken or whatever happened in that moment that you just will never forget, and it breaks your heart all over again. And that's the power of country music.
I can't agree with that any harder. It's kind of an understood thing, and we're not going to go into it really, but it's kind of understood. This relationship with Steve and I. Steve is he's all about the country music and the singer songwriter stuff, and I'm rock and roll. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I'll turn rock and roll on, and I'll bang my head, and I'll tap my foot, and that's what I do. But whenever things slow down and then it just starts getting grimy, it goes back to country music because just there's so much emotion in it. And
well, I was gonna say that Just Some Guy was my favorite on the album, but that's wrong. That's wrong. After I can't say that now.
I know. Melissa's usually with us, and Melissa usually is.
I love her, by the way. She's
Everybody
so sweet.
loves Melissa.
Man, listen, I got so lucky. As lucky even as I were.
We all agree. We all agree. You got so lucky.
I know.
Shout out to Melissa.
Yes.
I've met me. I know.
Yeah, we've all met you. We all agree.
So she's usually here making sure all the stuff is working and kind of she's in the background and stuff. And she's at home with doing some church stuff with some church people and everything. And I sent her a text. I said, hey, have you got a question for Holly or anybody that's there? Mm-hmm. And there's a group of people there. And there was several questions there. And I'm just now looking at them.
We're taking requests for questions
right.
now.
So here we go.
George wants to know. George is my sound guy.
Okay.
At church, and he wants to know if you get along with your sound guy.
Yes, I have an incredible
Great
sound
question.
guy. Yeah, actually, I have a couple. So at acoustic shows and smaller things, my brother is actually kind of a jack of all trades. His name's Shane, and so he'll run sound and he'll tour manage and he'll run the merch table and he'll just do whatever he needs to. But for sound, he's really good, and because he's my brother, we get along really well. And sometimes we butt heads, but, for the most part, we get along really well. But for my full band shows, I have an amazing sound engineer. He runs our front of house and our in-ear monitors, and his name is Keith Seiler, and he is from Sherman. And he is actually the only in-ear monitor certified technician in the whole state of Texas. Like, wow. A lot of people run in-ear monitors, but you can actually go through a test and a process of getting certified in it, and he's the only one in the state of Texas.
Keith.
Mm-hmm, Keith Seiler. Yep.
Good job, Keith.
So if anybody out there is needing a really good sound guy that knows what they're doing with your front of house and your ears, hire Keith because he's amazing. I wish I could keep him busy all the time.
But not when Holly's.
Yeah, not at my shows.
Yeah,
I get first dibs.
I got one more. If you could do a duet with anyone, who would it be?
Good question. I was going to lead into what I was going to ask.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Good.
That's a tough one. Dead or alive?
You know what?
Let's
sure.
do both.
Okay.
Can you do it? Can you do a dead and an alive?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Gosh, that's so hard. There's so many. Today, right now, in this moment, I think I would probably say Cody Johnson.
That's a curveball. I was thinking like a Martina McBride or something, but
Carrie Underwood is high up there on my list. Sean McConnell's high up there on my list. Tori Kelly's high up there on my list. I love Vocalist.
Yeah.
That is who I really admire. And Cody, to me, live and recording, and he's just the total package. Like, he's got the songs are there always. He can really sing live and entertain. Yeah. And that's just so impressive to me.
And I don't think there's a lot of people that can do that, and I think that's part of the appeal for him is because every song doesn't sound like the last one, and it doesn't sound like everything else. When a Cody Johnson song comes on,
and he's real, and doesn't have any put on it. He's the same off the stage as he is on, and you can hear it on the stage when he sings.
Yeah,
that he's singing what he feels and what he's about.
So. That's right.
So who would you sing with who has passed? Let's put it that way.
Got a dead one?
Got a dead one? Yeah. So there's several there too, but man, is it weird to say, like, or not weird, but is it like cliche to say Merle Haggard? Just because, again, I think he's got one of the most iconic voices in country music. If it wasn't him, I would probably say Elvis. Just somebody that has a really iconic, nice voice, and both of those really do.
And I think your voice would complement both of those.
Yeah,
very, very well.
You gave that some thought, because I wouldn't have picked that out of a hat. But
really,
you're right.
Let's switch that up. change of perspective, I think both of their voices would complement yours very well.
Goes back. This kind of ties everything that we were just talking about, women in country and all that. Is I mentioned that you have won Female Vocalist of the Year 3 times. Do the other people, not contestants, the other nominees, do they like slash your tires at the end of that? But
Voice?
No, at the Texas Music Awards.
Oh no!
I mean that sarcastically. I know there's no competition, and that's what I love about Texas music. But
they'll slash your tires. You don't get. Mm-hmm.
But are you friends with the other? I mean, I wanted to go to the Texas Music Awards just because of the camaraderie that I see there on stage and off stage, and the unlikely pairing sometimes on stage, the duets and all that kind of stuff. Is there somebody in that room that you enjoy singing with more than, if you could pick that you look forward to singing with?
Yeah. Well, there's several. I mean, that's kind of hard to narrow it down, but especially as far as my other lady female artists in Texas, I mean, I love them all. They're all really dear friends of mine. Your Sarah Hobbs and Adrienne Johnston, and oh my gosh, she's so great. Brie Bagwell, Jade Marie Patek. I mean,
you just named all the ones I had here. And look, Sarah Hobbs, I have a little mark next to make sure we brought her up because I just found her recently.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, she's so
she's so great. I mean, all of them are and we have to support each other. That's the thing. As females, everybody might think that it's catty behind the scenes, but we're all wanting each other to succeed.
And I was being sarcastic when I said slash tires because I know how tight everybody is, and all I have to do is mention a name to anybody and Holly Tucker and all the names you just
and see, and I don't think I'd be worrying about any of them slashing tires. I'd be worrying about a few of them cutting you or me, or just not you specific. Anyway, there's that.
It's fun.
All right, we skipped over a bunch. We're gonna backtrack.
Okay.
Have you have one of the premier voices in all of music?
No.
Did you take lessons, or did you just learn to do that in church, in front of crowds?
I had a lot of influences. My parents are both very great vocalists, and my dad was actually a vocal. Okay, no, that's not right. He was a music education major, but with a specialization in vocal performance. So at Baylor, and my mom has played keyboard and sung for almost all of her life.
And they get up on stage with you and play. I saw them last July 4th get up and sing Silver Wings.
Yes.
And, that's another bucket list moment to see all the Tuckers up there singing.
Yeah, it's fun. A lot of people don't know this either, but whenever I was first starting out, I would sing at a lot of Opries around the state of Texas and open mic nights and stuff like that. And my parents would sort of be my in the door to get into some of those Opries because there's a lot of solo singers, but there's not a lot of trio singers,
right?
So, or trio acts. So we, as the Tuckers, were sort of a novelty. And when we would all go in there to sing as a trio, it would get my foot in the door as a solo artist. So that really helped me.
Not a bad way.
Yeah.
Was that always the goal? Is when you were little to you've always had that bug to be a solo artist?
I really have. The first time I got on stage when I was 7 years old at church, I just knew that I wanted to do it. So
do you remember what song you sang the first time?
Yes, it was actually a duet with my dad in church and the senior adult choir of First Baptist Woodway. We did a special in the service, and they needed a little kid part to sing this song called "I Am a Promise." I am a promise, I am a possibility, I am a promise, with a capital P. I am a great big bundle of potentiality, and I'm learning to hear God's voice, and I'm trying to make the right choice. I'm a promise to be anything God wants me to be.
That's impressive. The fact that you just
7.
pulled out
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just an indescribable.
I don't know if I could say possibility when I was 7. Maybe I could.
It's fun.
I have one of those songs that I make my daughter cringe that I sang in 5th grade, but I'm not going to sing it on here.
So. Come on now.
That'll be the last Hello Texas
Damn.
podcast.
Oh,
No.
gosh.
We ain't even made it to 7 yet.
So 7, you got the bug. I think you were 12 or 14 when you released your first.
I was 14, yep.
14.
Yeah.
How did you pull that off at 14? I mean, I'm sure like a lot of family help and all that, but
Yes.
were they your songs that you wrote?
No, for that first album, actually, the whole reason it even came about was because my music minister at my church, Chris Womack, he had been writing Christian music for years, and he was, very accomplished in that. But somebody had dared him to write a country song, and just to see if he could do it. And he ended up loving it when he did it, and so he started writing more and more and more. And he wanted me to be his demo singer, so I went and recorded a lot of his songs, and it ended up 7 of his songs ended up on my very first record, and that's kind of how it happened. So
when did Something to Be Said come out?
okay, that one was my third. No, I'm sorry, it was my fourth.
Okay, so we skipped a couple there.
Project. Yeah,
You were like 18, 19?
with Something to Be Said, I was a freshman in college, so I was
Okay.
18. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was with Baylor. They had a student-run record label called Uproar Records, and they had me write my own songs and produce a little demo for me.
That was the first stuff that I found after you were on The Voice. And
Okay.
I don't remember how I found that.
Okay.
Because there was no Spotify back then.
Right.
Like we're old fogies. But
That was what, 4 or 5 years ago?
That's crazy, yeah.
And then you had, let's talk a little bit about The Voice.
Okay.
You were on season 4 of The Voice. 4-chair turn. Have you seen The Voice, Tim? See, I said that like a joke, but I know. Okay, there's these judges, and they have their backs to the singer, and if they're really good, they turn. And I remember, this is before I knew who Holly was, that she sang one note, and I think 3 of them turned. Is that right?
That's right.
3 of them turned. The one that waited till the end was Blake Shelton. Is that right?
That's right.
See, I'm pulling this out of my head right
You're
now.
so good.
I've been a
You
fan
watch
from that
way
moment.
Too much
Yeah.
TV.
And I don't remember the song, but I know it was an Adele song.
Yes.
Is that right?
To Make
See?
You Feel My Love.
And she sang the first note, and she was a star.
Thank you. That's so fun.
How long did it take to get to that point of the Adele song? I mean, you just didn't show up and go audition. What was the process behind the scenes to get to that point in your life? Because that even if you didn't have a chair turn, and I know several Texas country artists that have been on The Voice and either didn't make it that far, didn't get on TV, or got on TV, didn't get a chair turn. And there's some big names that are your peers that
Sure.
it just floors me that they didn't get a chair turn.
Yeah.
What was the process to get there?
So it's different every season, and it's different for every person. Everybody has a different experience. But as for my experience, I had actually auditioned for all of the television shows, the singing shows from the time I was 15 years old. So I had auditioned for Idol, X Factor, America's Got Talent, and just kept getting told no. So by the age of 19, I was pretty much done with all that. I didn't want to do that anymore. I just didn't think that was going to be God's path for me. But one day I was in Dallas area, and I had heard that the Voice auditions were going to be in town, and I just had some extra time. So I signed up for the open call auditions, and I just went and auditioned with 7,000 other people in Irving.
Do you remember what song you sang at that audition?
I sang To Make You Feel My Love
Okay.
from the
Hold
very
on.
beginning.
Hold on. Time. Wait a minute. Because you just said, ha ha ha. What was the process? You didn't just show up. Yeah.
Well,
Basically,
no,
she
she
did.
showed up to an open call.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
This
like
was
a
not televised.
like a month
Oh,
before.
okay.
I'm guessing like a month before.
Because I'm seeing she just rolled up in there and went, "Sup?"
No,
Y'all
no,
don't know
no.
me, but you
No,
listen
dude,
to.
if you turn on American Idol, there's 10,000 people filling a stadium to audition in front of producers that never ever get to the judge, and I'm
wow.
sure it was similar to that back in season 4.
It was.
So you said 7,000 people.
That day, yes. And they took you in a room, about 10 of you at a time, and you kind of like Idol. You would step forward, you get in a line and step forward one by one and sing like 30 seconds of a song and then step back. And then everybody would do that, go down the line. And then the producer would call forward, okay, we want so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so to stay. All the rest of you, it's going to be a no this time. But we're going to want all of y'all to stay for a callback tomorrow, another callback audition. And for that audition, we sang in front of a camera, and then we were interviewed on a camera. And then they sent that stuff off to bigger producers in California. And then a couple months later, we got another callback audition, which was the executive callbacks, which was for the biggest producers of the show. And they were going to decide who made it to the blind auditions. So
it is a lot to go shit. Sorry.
So
my bad.
So you get picked to go on the show. How long did you have to stay? Was it in Los Angeles?
It was in, we flew into LA, and then it was Burbank is where we stayed.
It's like a suburb of Dallas. You know, nobody knows where Burbank is. It's just near Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's where The Price is Right was filmed at, buddy.
It still is.
Oh, okay.
So how long were you in Burbank? Like, did you have to stay there for months, a month, 2 months?
Collectively, we would fly out there and then fly back home and fly out there and fly back home until the live shows started airing. And so collectively, with all of that time that we were in LA, it was about 3 months.
Holy crap.
And they put you up. They have great accommodations.
So they foot the bill.
Yeah.
They fly you out there back and forth.
Here's why I asked that question. Yep. I mean, you were what, 19 then?
I was 19 and turned 20 on the show. Yeah.
Is it like, in my head, it's like a college sorority or frat house or of a bunch of artists that are just going around playing songs in the hallway. Mm-hmm. Did you make friendships with people that nobody even knows off the show and songwriting connections and all that? Was
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of networking.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I guess you almost can't not.
Yeah, because we had a lot of free time during those executive callbacks, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So a lot of times we would just go down to the pool or down to the front gathering area, and we would just get our guitars out and all play and jam. I mean,
becomes your support group to some
yes, degree. Exactly.
How exhausting that must be.
But it was fun,
the waiting.
So
yeah.
Do you keep in touch with anybody from that season?
Yeah, a lot of people actually. I will text the Swan Brothers every now and then, and Amber Carrington was on my season. Danielle Bradbury won. I'll text her sometimes, and then there's actually another girl that not a lot of people know about. She's amazing, but Julie Roberts, who sings "Breakdown Here" from the big 2000s hit on country radio, and she actually auditioned for my season of The Voice, and I don't think she auditioned with that song. Maybe she did. Anyway, nobody turned around for her. And Blake said when he saw her, he recognized her, and he was like, I didn't think it was you. It sounded so close to Julie Roberts, but I wasn't expecting it to be you, or I would have turned.
I remember that. I think they aired that.
They did air that. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You made it far on the show. I mean, I dreaded opening the show with, this is Holly Tucker from The Voice. You're not from The Voice anymore. And I've told you that before. We're not going to have you on to just talk about The Voice.
and I know The Voice is a big part of it, but it doesn't define who you are to me.
Thank you.
As a 20-year-old coming in 6th on a national TV show, did you leave The Voice thinking, everybody line up, sign me for a record contract, let's go? Because I know the thing is, now I've heard Adam talk about it on radio shows, that he's been frustrated with some of the record deals after The Voice, that the success isn't as big as some other shows. You've been successful because you've worked your tail off.
Thank you.
But some of the others on there, there's been a couple successes, but in large part, they just I want to say flash in the pan. I mean, I think that's how the record companies see the show, because it's such a fast turnover.
Yeah. Well, they're just broke.
Yeah.
They can't afford. There's 2 seasons a year, and there's like 130 people that get on the blind auditions every year. Mm-hmm. Maybe if that, and even if they were to sign the top 10 of every season. That's 20 people a year. No label has that kind of roster.
Right.
It's just not possible, and they don't have the money for it. So it is, and there's no development program after the show. They don't get you unless you win. If you win, you can get a record deal, or you can take, I think, $100,000 or something like that. Anyway, but you know, they don't sign everybody. And I was a little naive. I'll admit I was naive. And yes, I did go to Nashville, and I thought that after 14 million people had watched me every single week, I thought that record companies would jump on that because the iron was hot.
Right.
And even if I didn't last on a label, like, I thought they would immediately sign me and just do something with me. And that was just not the case. So they all told me, we saw you. I met with a bunch of labels, and they all basically told me the same thing. They said, Holly, we love you. We love your story. We love your music. I had some original songs at that point, and I had brought them in to play for the labels. But they said, we just want to see what you can do on your own first. And
wow.
So I said, okay, well, my fan base is in Texas. They supported me on the show, and my hometown has been really great. So I'm going to make my mark in Texas country. And that's when I came back and really hit that hard.
So whenever I think about females in Texas, your name's at the top of that list.
Thank you.
And I think Courtney Patton.
Yes, Courtney. How could I forget Courtney? God.
I think about. Oh, here we go.
I have this this ongoing thing with Jamie Lynn Wilson.
Yes, Jamie. Oh my gosh.
So we're concerned at some point that there's going to be a restraining order against Steve.
I haven't seen her in.
Let's just move right on along.
Yeah.
What?
So
I just love her so. And it's all pure, innocent.
Yeah.
She's such a great songwriter, great singer.
Yeah.
And the
real
list keeps
person.
going. Then we get Brie Bagwell. Then we get man, let's just go.
Caitlin Butts.
There we go. That's who I was trying to think. Caitlin Butts, J. Marie Patek.
Yes.
I'm gonna be upfront. We normally in our podcast we do what we call a 5 and have you list your 5 favorite something. We're not going to do that tonight.
Okay.
We don't have time.
We don't have. Not that we don't have time, but I don't want you. I don't want you to isolate 5 and us leave somebody out.
I gotcha.
And we've already dropped some names. Sarah Hobbs. I mean,
Jonah May, Kayla Ray.
Yes.
I keep going.
Kelly Willis.
Sure.
All of them just so great.
Does your girl, does she fit in this?
Who? Lily?
Yeah.
Lily Milford? Absolutely.
I mean,
she's
I need to go look up her stuff.
Let me tell you.
She's got
like Janis Joplin.
All right, you got me an excuse to talk about Lily and the Implements. Lily's from Temple.
Here we go.
She's in a show in a band called Lily and the Implements. You know Wes Perryman?
That sounds familiar.
He's a farmer out of Moody.
Okay.
He plays guitar.
Yeah.
John Napier plays bass.
Yeah.
Evan Shepherd plays drums. They've got an album coming out probably in a month.
There's a fantastic story behind.
Yeah.
They're a whole show.
She was fronting a band in 2012 called Hangar 24. It was a co-female lead band playing a lot of rock cover songs.
Yeah.
And Janis Joplin is as close to.
And that's the closest thing you can get, because they're just, whenever she sings, there is a lot. There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
So the one name that we haven't named that would have been on my 5 was Robin Shane. I saw her last year.
Oh yeah, I love Robin.
I saw her last year and connected. So
yeah.
We were talking about The Voice. Then you came out with Steel.
Yes.
And you had some success with Steel.
I did, yeah.
And I've talked to you a couple times about it. There was a gap between Steel and your current album.
Yes.
Talk about that. And there were some difficulties there.
Yes.
That behind the scenes, that nobody hears or talks about. But when I talked to you, that was the release party for the current album.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it, and it really opened my eyes with, wow, it's not just you just release it and tour and be happy. And what happened there?
Well, between Steel and You're Gonna Know My Name, I had some. I just had a series of really unfortunate events happen. I had I was on the brink of a really great A&R sort of deal in Nashville, and that was gonna help me launch to the next level. And then that ended up not working out, and it devastated me. And then just, it was like after that, one thing after another. I had to, as a part of that A&R deal, I had recorded 4 songs of my own, but in order for me to own my masters, I had to buy them. Meaning I had to take out a huge loan in my name for the first time in my life. I'm in debt. So that was the first bad thing. And then there was...
To own your music.
Yeah, to own my music. Yeah. Well, I mean, the masters of my music.
I get it.
I mean, I understand you have to pay for your music. Like, I get that. And there was a lot of work that was done on those songs. Actually, 4 of the songs that were on You're Gonna Know My Name, I bought with that loan. But it just devastated me. And then I had, I mean, I don't remember in what succession, but our house got robbed. All of our vehicles at our house got robbed. And it was the stuff in our trunks. I had musical equipment in my trunk. They didn't break any windows or anything like that, but they unlocked our cars somehow, and they popped my trunk, and they stole $7,000 worth of musical equipment. And then one of the biggest things was, and this was right before my album release concert, my grandfather passed away, and then a month later, my grandmother passed away, and that was 2 days before my album release show.
I actually asked your dad, I actually asked, is Holly, did she have a breakup or something? And he told me what happened, and I'm like, and so I could see the pain on your face that night.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
That was last year.
That
was the night she was
that recent.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, I know about this. This is since I've been in Texas.
No, this was October. Is that right?
My album release concert was in August. Yeah.
That's right.
So,
Wow.
I mean, there was all that. And then in the whole midst of that, I was having relationship issues. And I was just, for like a year and a half of my life, in 2018, that was terrible. And half of 2019, I was going through a really, the darkest period of my life. I knew what depression was for the first time in my life. I knew what anxiety was for the first time in my life. And I got really angry and upset with God, and I never stopped believing, but I got in one of those spaces where I was just angry all the time, and I didn't even want to talk about God. I didn't want to talk to God. I just wanted to do my own thing and try to control everything. And finally, it just got so much for me that I just realized finally that I was running. I was running from everything that I had ever known, and I was running from my faith, and that had to be my foundation. And as soon as I realized that, I started giving up all the things that were bad for me. I turned back to Jesus. I focused on him, and not that everything is perfect now, but I'm in such a better headspace now. I still deal with anxiety and stuff, but I'm just in such a better headspace than I was last August.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
And seems like you just posted something recently, maybe just about being at peace, or just it was something. It was
today. Yeah.
Was that today?
Oh, that was today. I wrote that down.
I remember reading it and thinking, those are the words of somebody that those are real words.
Yeah.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all this stuff, all the crap you've dealt with, but dang, girl,
look, knowing you, watching you grow up. I mean, everybody that's a fan of yours has watched you from that girl at Baylor on The Voice to the 20-something. I won't.
It's okay.
To the young lady you are now.
It's all good.
Good job. Good job.
No, I just mean I've watched for almost 10 years now, and everybody goes through it. And your record contract story isn't unique, unfortunately. I've known a couple people that have had similar issues. I'll throw out the damn Quails. I know that they toured for 5 years because they couldn't get out of what they had to. And so the next album, they had to wait.
Wow.
They waited. I mean, and so many people wait out contracts just because they don't have the money to get a loan and buy their masters.
That's right.
So you got the new album out.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the singles or the covers that you've got coming. What's the next? Can you say the next one? This isn't coming out for a couple weeks, so.
Sure. Yeah. I believe the next one that's coming out is Empty Glass.
Ooh. Such a great song.
I know every country band does that song. They cover that song
Sure.
like towards the end of their set, but I've never heard a girl do it. So that's what drew me to that song.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it now.
It's very soulful. And it actually ended up being one of my favorite ones that we did. Out of all 6 that we recorded that day, that one ended up being really, really sweet. So I'm excited.
They're all good. And then at some point in the future, you have the follow-up to You're Gonna Know My Name.
Yes.
I guess part 2?
Part 2. Mm-hmm.
Have you, is that in the can? Have you recorded everything, or do you still have songs to record? And
I still have, so we're about to go back in the studio here in late April, I think, either early or late April, sometime in that month. And I have a compilation of songs that are ready to go that we're planning on doing, but I still have to write a couple more upbeat songs. I have a lot of ballads. Obviously, after all that struggle that I went through, I have some more sad songs.
You got a lot to come out, yeah.
Yeah. And, just some real stuff, some raw stuff. But I need to find that happy again, and I am happy now, so
It's time to write about it.
Time to write about it.
And I very much understand that. I'm friends with Mike Stanley.
Yeah.
And he's such a beautiful human.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through some stuff, and he'll tell you some of it self-induced, some of it, just kind of crappy situations, and there's just been a lot of stuff, and kind of seeing him kind of mature through some of that, and knowing some of the songs that have come out, and knowing what's in the can now.
Yeah.
And seeing how that's progressed, and hearing him, about, I can almost, I know the 6 months ago or the year ago where he was at, and the songs that he's writing now, and kind of how that's reflecting. And I know he's in a really, I know he's in a really good place right now.
Yeah.
Like you said, everything's not perfect. So I'm kind of excited. And now hearing about this with you,
you've put in the work,
like
and you set yourself up for success. That's just it. It takes work, and
But that good peaceful time, those songs are right there.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're just on the edge of that. So the happy, good.
All right.
Anyway, sorry.
I have one other question.
Okay. Yes.
You're kind of known for singing national anthem at sporting events.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
What was your favorite national anthem to sing?
Oh man. Probably So Far.
Yeah.
And just because they just had the Super Bowl, it was probably the Kansas City Chiefs and 49ers. I sang for their first preseason game the year they won the Super Bowl this year.
That's pretty cool. I said, and you do such a great job of it. People that don't know who you are like, who's that? I mean,
the rest of us are going, Solly.
Yeah. You do Ranger games.
I do, yeah.
A couple Spurs games, is that right?
Never the Spurs.
The Mavericks.
I did the Mavericks for
Right.
the first time the other day, and they said that they want me to come back if they make the playoffs. So I'll be back this season.
Dang,
the only one that I haven't gotten yet that I really want to get that's pretty much impossible is the Cowboys, and they have that awesome trumpet player play the anthem every time. So I don't know that that'll ever happen, but that's my dream.
Could they turn the trumpet down?
Step up, Texans! Come on,
man.
let's trump the Cowboys. So we're caught up. So we're gonna start wrapping it up because we've talked for a long time. So to wrap it up, your choice. So whatever you'd like, I would be honored if you'd sing one more.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Holly Tucker.
You say you can't tell what I'm thinking, so you don't even try. Act like I'm so complicated, and I'm always changing my mind. You're looking so lost, boy, like you need a road map. Well, I'm about to help a brother out. Call me beautiful and open my door. Rock me to a George Strait song out on the dance floor. If you wanna reel me in, make my head spin, here's a secret, hope you're listening. Call me beautiful, oh, and take me fishing, yeah. Yeah, it might sound kinda simple, but boy, you'd be surprised what you can do to a country girl's heart with a tackle box and a blue sky. Turn a good day into a long night, that's right. So call me beautiful and open my door. Rock me to a George Strait song out on the dance floor. If you wanna reel me in, make my head spin, here's a secret, hope you're listening. Call me beautiful, oh, and take me fishing, yeah. I'll bait the hook, you throw out the line. Oh, you could be mine, but oh, looking so lost, boy, like you need a roadmap. How typical. You're so close now, baby, don't you turn back, 'cause I'm about to help a brother out. Call me beautiful and open my door. Rock me to a George Strait song out on the dance floor. If you wanna reel me in, make my head spin, here's a secret, hope you're listening. Call me beautiful, oh, nitty gritty now. You and me go fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and count the stars where the cool grass grows. Y'all know it, come on now. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow.
No.
Yeah. Staying the whole night through, it feels so good to be. Call me beautiful, oh, and take me fishing, yeah. Oh, baby, take me fishing. You and me go fishing in the dark.
Yeah.
Man, let's just end it right there because
Yeah.
there's nothing else I can do or say. Man,
That
I'm
was
Steve.
fun.
I'm Steve.
I'm Tim.
That's Tim. That's Holly
That's
Tucker.
Holly Tucker. Holly Tucker, y'all.
So
Bye,
long,
Texas.
Texas.
Bye, guys.
To the end, I'm on my way. And I'm on my way.
When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and lead me home, what joy shall fill my heart? Then I shall bow with humble